Huang saying, you know what, I think my rogue's going to get banned, so therefore I'm going to prevent that Druid from getting a free win.
Yeah, so what do you think about Huang's matchup here, D2?
All right, well, he's got the Control Warrior to go off against the Aggro Shaman, and he has the, just looking through my list here at what exactly these decks are. It's basically the freestyle Reno Mage from the Joker, and that's a really tight matchup. It really requires players to know what they're doing. That matchup, more than anything, it has to do with how good the players are rather than, how well they curve out or how good the cards are or what your deck list looks like. And obviously, looks like we have a Warrior on the side of the Joker that doesn't really match what I have.
Oh, it actually
written.
did just get switched in the graphic, as you're saying. Warlock coming on through. Right. That is going to be Huang, who does have that Warrior. And we're going to see Huang start off on the Dragon Priest, and he is matched up against this Reno Lock without a combo.
Exactly, and not having the combo will actually help the Joker in this particular matchup. When you're going in the Reno Lock mirror, it's very helpful to have the combo just as something to be a threat. Since your opponent knows that you have combo, you have to stay above a certain life total once they play Thorson, and it makes it extremely hard to play Jiraxes. But in this particular matchup, the name of the game for the Reno Lock is to just stay alive for as long as possible, weather the storm, all the dragons coming at you, and once you're done with all that, the Dragon Priest runs out of cards and you play Jiraxes and win the game.
Yeah, other side of the table, Huang wants to get a really dirty start here, get those early game dragons in and find damage before Reno can be played, and he does have a pretty strong start here.
Yeah, I think actually it's for the Dragon Priest, the issue, I think, is more so that obviously if you get to a certain point, you can start playing as if they don't have Reno, so you can start hitting the face. But they're more concerned, speaking of the Dragon Priest, about the removal, things like Twisting Nether, things like Shadow Flame, because once their board gets cleared, there's no way for them to come back. Even if their opponent's at 5 health, they can't do that extra damage at the end there. So as far as the Dragon Priest is concerned, unlike traditional aggro decks, they're more concerned with the board clears rather than the healing.
Yeah, because if they can stay on board, they're not achieving their win condition based off of burn. It's not the one-time spells. It's by having that board control. And we are going to see that Talon Priest come on down. And that does definitely help in the board control department. We are going to see that 2/3 dragon get buffed up, and that is a very big whelp here. How important do you think the Discover minions are going to be for Huang in this matchup, having both the Operative and the Netherspite Historian in the deck?
They certainly could help with a bit of burst, though there's obviously less because there's not the combo in Joker's deck. The combo obviously being the Leroy and the Faceless and the Power of Overwhelming there all put together. But yeah, that's going to help a little bit less, but you can get obviously certainly very powerful minions in the Reno side, and just in general, things. The Netherspite Historian is going to be very nice. You're probably going to want to get Draconid Operative because it's the best mid-range minion that you can get. The Draconid Operative itself, even though you can't get the more bursty options, you're going to get lots of value.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy amount of value, especially he has the potential to drop this Netherspite Historian on turn 5 next to Bran Bronzebeard, and earlier in the day we saw just how strong that could be. But yeah, if you get the Netherspite Historian down, you have like a 40% chance, Noxers was telling me today, to actually see that Operative. Yeah. Just based off of how Clash Dragons work. And then that's going to discover you another card. And we talked about how removal is one of those things that really do mess with the Dragon Priest. They are super disruptive, but if you can keep your hand filled, you can just repopulate the board after you do see the removal. Now the Joker is in a pretty tight situation here. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to start jamming some of that removal, or does he want to develop his board with that second-rate Bruiser?
I think the second-rate Bruiser seems like the best tier. It feels kind of bad because you're floating a mana, but at the same time, you're getting that discount from 5 anyway. Looks like he's headed toward a tap into Doomsayer, and not even going to go ahead and tap last here just because he knew he was going to play the Doomsayer if you're going to tap in that situation.
Defender of Argus going to answer that pretty nicely here. End on curve for Huang. I'm not sure if I love that play from the Joker deciding to go this line with the Doomsayer.
Yeah, it seemed like he should try to get onto the board a little bit more. I suppose he wants to play it very greedy and go for Mind Control Tech next turn, which will be pretty big now that none of these minions are going to get damaged. So say the Defender of Argus comes down on the Whelp and the Cabal Talon Priest. Now you're taking a 4/5 taunt, which is the same thing as a Bruiser. So I think that's what the Joker is going for. One thing to keep in mind is that Joker doesn't have Twisting Nether. He doesn't have a minion to combine with the Shadow Flame quite yet, something cheap and with a lot of health, or excuse me, a lot of attack power. And so He wants to continue to draw into his deck to get that removal. By the way, on the side of Huang, he does kind of diversify his board knowing that Mind Control Tech is a threat, so very heads up play here from him.
Yeah, definitely. Throwing down that Argus there will give him a better chance of not getting punished by the Mind Control Tech here. Joker does have it, though, going to get that 2-4.
Yeah, it could have been a 3-7. The thing is, CLHuang could have gotten, or sorry, CLHuang could have gotten 1 more damage to face, but the way he did it, it made it so the only real disaster was the Cabal Talon Priest. Everything else, it was a 2-6, not a 3-7. You know, he gets his Northshire Cleric stolen, but that's okay. He can deal with it on board. So again,
yeah,
pretty
and he has
heads up play.
So many ways to be getting more cards, not necessarily through the way of draw, but through all these Discover cards he has here. Now, do you think he feels safe enough to jam the Brand Bronzebeard here?
Well, it depends on what he goes with as far as the trades are concerned. So there's a very nice kill onto the Northshire Cleric, but he could elect to just use his Whelp and his Defender of Argus because he wants to keep his Cabal Talon Priest alive. If he does attack with the Cabal Talon Priest, though, it makes it so that Hellfire's not an issue because the Mind Control Tech, I mean, he can attack first, but it doesn't make any difference as far as Hellfire is concerned in that situation. So he might elect to attack with a Cabal Talon Priest, and then if you drop the Nether Spice Historian and the Brawn, unless there's a Hellfire and a Moral Coil, you're not clearing the Brand, and the Whelp would still stick on the board. So I do like going for Brand plus Nether Spice, especially because you get a Dragon in your hand to buff the Twilight Guardian later, but it looks like he's picked a Dragon up anyway.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to decide to just further buff that 4-7, maintain value on board instead of trying to spiral those Nether Spite Historians out of control.
Yeah, that's a refill, right? He has enough power on the board, CLHuang is saying, and not only that, he has enough health on the board, right? So if the opponent decides to play anything, he can just kind of deal with it and heal back up. The only issue is that the Sylvanas in the hand of the Joker here, which I imagine is coming down. This is the weakness of the Dragon Priest. A lot of times, when you're playing against an aggressive deck or a sort of tempo deck, if there's this much power on the board, you're afraid of dying as the Joker. But right now, he can just play Sylvanas and know that he can just come back that way on the board.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, Huang is in a good spot because he has refill mechanics here. So no matter what does happen here, he does have a way to refill. But Sylvanas may be the play for the Joker here.
Yeah, it's a bit risky because you're getting down in health. You know, Huang could just jam everything to face, but there really isn't much behind this board. And I think he might be running Holy Fire. That's a tech that Chinese players have put in their decks lately. I don't have the deck list in front of me to check that for you guys. But, you know, things like Holy Nub is not going to be enough damage to kill him. And then Joker, worst case scenario, he has Refreshment Vendor, he has Siphon Soul. So I think it's pretty safe to just jam the Sylvanas right now.
Yeah, the thing, though, if you are the Joker, this is one of the biggest tournaments you've been a part of. It's one of the biggest tournaments in Hearthstone. I think some players may be scared to make that Sylvanas move, especially with so much damage being threatened. But the Joker is going to giddy on up and drop that Sylvanas onto the board here. And I'd be surprised if Huang doesn't just go face and rumble on through.
Yeah, it's tempting, but this deck, again, just doesn't have the burn. So as tempting as that sounds, I think he's going to trade with the Cabal Talon Priest and the Twilight Whelp just to make it so that whatever it gets stolen is very small. You follow up with a Twilight Guardian and a heal, and then next turn you go Brand double. Now that's why Historian for tons of value.
I want him to just go face here. I think
it's tempting, right? It's very tempting.
It looks so good. I definitely would. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, sorry for raiding on the parade.
It's fun, which is what we're here to do in China. $300,000. Who cares? Yeah, go face, Huang.
You know what's more fun? Yeah, I was about to say though. What's more fun than winning or losing? Doesn't matter. You go face. What's more fun is that $300,000. Right?
One of the biggest Hearthstone tournaments in history. This event's just been absolutely insane. And look, he is going for that line that you said. He's going to trade here. What follow-ups do you expect to see out of him?
I think it's just going to be a Twilight Guardian plus a heal.
There we go.
Consistent with what he's been doing so far, he's just keeping his current board as healthy as possible, and he's setting up for that massive refill later with a Brand double Nether Spite. He could get 4 dragons into his hand next turn.
It's absolutely insane. And then he also has the Azure Drake to draw more. That's one of the reasons that this deck can just be so explosive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now back over to the Joker's side. What can he do to combat this? He needs to be really frugal, for lack of a better word, with his removal. Just kind of using the worst removal so he has the best left over.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is he will have Twisting Nether a little bit later on in the game, ideally, but he hasn't found it yet. Siphon Soul probably not being the best tool. I mean, Shadow Bolt does look kind of
leaning. He's leaning. Sorry to interrupt you. He's leaning toward the second raid Bruiser and Shadow Flame here, which is it's pretty removable, but you do completely wipe the board in that situation. So
yeah, you get to trade that 2/3 body in to finish off the 3/6. Do you like that line? I feel like that is pretty strong here, but like you said, premium removal that you're having to expend on this board, and this is not nearly as massive as Huang can get.
I don't mind it, and the reason is because if you try to go any other route, it's really so poor that this is your tempo turn, right? You're gonna look like, all right, I'm gonna use my premium removal, but this is my tempo turn, and then this will allow me to catch up into the game, and then hopefully I can utilize the minions and the other removal, things like Rag in the hand, to catch up afterwards. So he's decided, okay, this is where I draw the line. I'm not going to take any more punishment, or at least I'm gonna utilize that premium removal, excuse me, in order to make sure that I'm not falling even farther behind by, you know, just messing around with Shadow Bolt and Demon Fire or Demon Wrath.
The nice thing for the Joker too is he does have an answer to this brand in his hand, but the damage will be done as soon as Huang gets to slam. Ooh!
Just
bomb
instant pick
after
on
bomb.
the Deathwing Dragon Lord and goes for the Dragon Opera. That is one of the best cards you can choose because it's such a nice body for its price. Onyxia, Chromagus, Whelp. I don't imagine it's going to be the Whelp. Yeah, going to go for the Onyxia here. And all of these are very nice as well. Electros is an excellent to throw down on the field after the Reno has come down, and does go for the Alexstrasza here. So many options for Huang. Those Netherspite historians, once upon a time.
Yeah, right. And he's also in the position right now getting that Deathwing that he can throw that out on turn 10 and cheat out a lot of the fatties that he did just draw. Of course, that will renege the battle cries.
Yeah.
So that is the interesting thing. It was like,
I think that's the last one he's going to throw on the field.
Yeah, honestly, I think it is, which is funny because I'm sure when he actually did discover it, he was like, oh, this could be cool.
Yeah.
I can throw this down and I can cheat out some of my threats later on. But now it's looking like Draconid Operative is most likely going to come out, or Azure Drake, but...
Well, if this brand doesn't get taken care of, and it looks like Joker is going to...
The Joker has the means to do it with the Shadow Bolt.
Right.
Yeah, he is going to do just that. That would be a crazy oversight if he let that brand stay. Just already it's gotten so much value. If you let it get any more, you probably just lose the game.
This is an interesting situation. So Huang can go for Draconid Operative and then Cabal Talon Priest it up, turn that guy into a 5/9 and say, Siphon Soul it, do it. And then you just drop the bombs afterward.
Yeah, that's the thing. Draconid Operative is enough of a threat that, like you said, it does bait out a lot of removal, and baiting out that Siphon Soul, that's a pretty great thing to do right before you drop Onyxia. You want to hang on to that Alexstrasza for a little bit longer here.
He could just go for the Alexstrasza first to say, okay, deal with this now, and then you go for the Onyxia, right?
Yeah.
But we see that he has the opportunity to go for Brand Bronzebeard. Interesting situation where the Draconid discovers the brand. You kind of want the opposite situation. You want the brand into the Draconid, but he does have more in his deck, so could decide to go for that there. And Defender of Argus is a nice way to get some nice trades because you don't really have damage removal. That makes Mortal Coil somewhat tempting as well, but probably between the Bran and the Defender of Argus right now.
I actually like the Bran there, but it looks like he is going to decide to take that Defender of Argus, and it is just another refill mechanic a little bit later on in the game, but he puts the extra health from the Talon Priest onto the 1/6 instead of the 5/6. It looks like he doesn't want to bait out that removal, instead chunking some damage with the body. What do you think of that? I disagree with it personally.
Yeah, I have to go ahead and disagree as well. I think he's trying to diversify his board, but the Joker doesn't really care about 1 damage. He could just leave it up the entire time.
Yeah, this isn't one of the positions where you want to diversify your board. You actually want the removal to be put onto the 5/6 body after you draw Onyxia, Deathwing, and Alexstrasza.
Yeah, the one thing I can say about this move here from Huang is that he just picked Defender of Argus, so all of a sudden this 1/6 looks innocuous. All of a sudden it's a 2/7 that's getting some work done.
Right, and you with the positioning right now, and you know that is what he was thinking. 1/6 next to the 5/6, both of them get hit by the Defender of Argus, and they are staying in the party for quite some time. I still think, though, the better play would have been using that Talon Priest to buff up that 5/6 to the 5/9.
Yep, well, all of that said, the Joker is still in a really bad spot. You typically don't see the pressure come this hard, this fast, and this consistently from the Dragon Priest. And yeah, the Joker's just got to be thinking about the 3 remaining dragons that came off of these Netherspite Historians. Going to go ahead and play the Thorson right now so that he can potentially in the future play Jiraxis plus an Infernal. Looking at the damage from Huang here, he has 8/9, so No way to really capitalize here. If there
Huang
was
is in such a good spot here in game number 1. This is the first match that we are seeing from group number D, and this young guy is looking like a rock star.
So Huang 2 damage off lethal at the moment with the Holy Fire, or excuse me, Holy Nova and Defender of Argus. The funny thing is if Huang took the Brand, he could have had potentially Brand into Blackwing Corruptor for 6 damage combo, which would have been lethal if he actually picked that up instead of the Shadow Word Pain. All what ifs, you know. But this is kind of an interesting situation for Huang because he wants to keep on the pressure, but how much, you know, if you commit too much and it gets twisting nethered, then you feel kind of bad even though you have backup. He does need to get rid of this Emperor Thorson at the moment. Looks like he's going to go for the Shadow Word Pain. That's a pretty nice target right there, basically a Totem Golem left over. And looks like he's heading for Defender of Argus here. Going to turn his Dragon Operative into his 6-7, probably heal it afterward. 2-7 goes to, oh, just going to trade this way. So he is now going for the what we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, now he can bait out that removal, and as he moved down further and further with this line, it looks like it may actually pay off having it a little bit later.
Well, the Fellfire Potion is pretty nice for starting to deal with this board. He can utilize that in combination with the Demon Wrath if he wants to start clearing this off, if he doesn't want to use his Siphon Soul quite yet. There is the opportunity for him to go for Ragnaros plus Faceless, the power of Emperor Thorson shining through.
Yeah, but health definitely being a real factor here for the Joker, coming down already to 9 here in this early turn.
If Rag misses and there is a Shadow Word Death, he could just die. You're absolutely right there.
Yeah, I really he needs to draw Reno kind of soon, otherwise the removal's just not going to be enough. You can keep answering, but Huang has so many threats to refill the board with.
Yeah, I do kind of like going for the... Well, let's see. If he goes for the Fellfire Potion and the Demon Wrath, then he dies to Blackwing Corruptor and Holy Nova. That's probably going through his mind right now. Or double Holy Nova, if there's that in his deck. So, a bit tough. It looks like he's going to go for the Rag plus Faceless play. And this Rag shot is going to be huge.
Yeah, this is going to be a very big moment for him. If the Rag does manage to take out the Draconid Operative, that could be a big swing, and he's going to get it. Now he has the 8-8 on the board. Oh, man. Hello, the Joker is here.
Wow.
That was a big moment. Now the 8-8 is going to be able to stall for quite some time. He's going to have a little bit of time to draw the Reno, potentially even move into the Lord Jiraxis here.
That could have decided the game right there, because the 6-7, if that Rag hit anything else, then the 8-8 Faceless Sandbar gets dealt with on board, and Huang can just kind of, you know, push stuff onto the board in order to make sure that the Joker doesn't have a great Rag situation on hand. So yeah, that could have shifted the game completely here, and I'm curious to see if Huang maybe wants to pull the trigger on the Deathwing Dragonlord right now, because you have to deal with that first and then play Twisting Nether afterward in order to deal with all the dragons. It's an interesting decision here. If you feel like as Huang you were so far ahead, but it might be time to just go for that, because now you're way behind on board.
Yeah, you kind of just have to pull the trigger. I do agree with that here, and it looks like he may play the Deathwing here. Yeah. Siphon Life still in the hands of the Joker.
Yeah, that's certainly possible there, but he can't go for... If he goes for Siphon Soul, he knows at the very least there's 2 dragons from the remainder of the
just based off of the Historians alone, he knows if he does use that Siphon Soul. And right now, he has the board's gummed up enough behind that 8-8. I think he does have to wait to play it. He could potentially... Defender of Argus, maybe?
Yeah, Defender of Argus is nice here because it makes it so that... If your opponent had Shadow Word Death, they'd probably use it instead of just slamming down, you know, Deathwing Dragonlord here.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
There's no real way to deal with a board of a couple of 9/9s here. The other possibility... Oh, he's going to go for the Siphon Soul. He's going to see...
Siphon, that's a little dangerous, especially when you don't... If he had the Twisting Nether to follow it up, I'm not against that play, right?
If he had massive discounts in his hand. Well, so that's one thing, right? But or if he had, you know, Blast Crystal Potion into Twisting Nether, if he had the discounts as well. But now he has to deal with this board. The rope is burning, and he could just die off of this decision to go for this. Looks like he's just going to get as many taunts up as humanly possible. But do we still have lethal on the board here is the question. Let's see where Rag goes. Rag takes out an 8-8. Sniper Rag does it again.
Rag is just really doing work for the Joker here,
Oh
taking out that 8/8 after
goodness.
taking out that operative.
Okay, well the thing is, Holy Nova is 3 damage. That's huge on this board right here. So nothing really survives attacking into the right side, so you can just Holy Nova first off here, and it doesn't really make a difference as far as your minions staying alive. So just Holy Nova first off here. The Rag will be at 6. The Faceless Shambler will be at 3. And that helps with some of the trades, but it's still pretty awkward. You can't trade in your Drake into the Rag. No Dragon in hand to utilize this Blackened Corruptor. That would have been pretty huge as well to take out one of these minions. So as it stands, it looks like this Onyxia has to go into one of these minions if Huang wants to clear this board. In fact, I think that everything needs to... No, he can keep alive either his Drake or his 2 minions on the left side.
Yeah.
Just a kind of a sad situation for Huang. If that Rag hadn't sniped off yet another 8/8, this would be a completely different situation.
Yeah, and I will say too, he's in the position where he doesn't have a way to get back on the board, especially if the Joker doesn't even need to find an answer anymore. He's essentially dealt with the board, and now there's only four health represented on the minions that are on board. That's not too hard to deal with, especially with the cards in his hand. He has the Fellfire Potion, and he has the Demon Wrath, and a Hellfire, and a Mortal Coil is going to be his draw.
Yeah, I highly doubt that the Joker expected that many dragons to come out, and not only that, but the size of the dragons that came out, but got bailed out by the Ragnar, so we have to call it as it is here, Rich.
Oh, he totally got bailed out.
Yeah.
That was a total cowboy play there. And we can call it a cowboy play. Also, reckless might be another word for it.
Yeah, if we're being blunt.
Definitely a reckless play here. Now we have to see what line the Joker does take here. Is he going to just look to remove these minions? I think that is the clear route here, but looks like Jam and Jiraxis is going to be the way that he goes.
This is super risky right now, though. He does have the Demon Wrath to help him out with these trades, so he can attack into 1 and Demon Wrath, or he can just play an Infernal if he so chooses. But, oh, he's going to go for the Mortal Coil instead.
I don't really like this line. And now you don't have Ragnaros to bail you out anymore.
Yeah.
Dirty Rat is a pretty decent pickup at this point in the game. Huang having expelled most of his cards.
So what help? Sorry, I was distracted by our nice makeup lady for a moment there.
Yeah, that was great.
But what health was he at when he decided to play Draxus? It was like 9 or something?
Yeah, he was...
He could have played Fellfire Potion and not died.
I think he could have gotten away with the Fellfire Potion there. Still no Reno getting pulled for the Joker. He can just gum up the board with the Dirty Rat.
Right. And you play the Dirty Rat, you pull the Northshire Cleric, and you can attack with your face here. You know there's no dragon for sure, and it's probably some sort of spell like Holy Nova or something that dies easily to Jiraxis' attack. But the question here for Joker is, how does he stay alive? He can just go for Fellfire Potion, and he stays alive that way on 1, but if your opponent has any damage, he could also go for the Hellfire plus Demon Wrath and stay alive at 3, but the only thing that saves you from is Holy Nova. The Blackened Corruptor would kill you there if there's a dragon in Blackened Corruptor, though he knows there's no dragon.
Doesn't Huang have the out of Holy Fire as well?
I'm not sure if he's running it in this deck. We haven't been able to check that, but so the Joker is just roping here, and let's see if he picks it quickly enough. Going to go for the Voidwalker. Let's see if he goes for the Dirty Rat as well.
No, he decides to go with the Inferno over the Dirty Rat, maybe trying to close out a little bit earlier here. I mean, he does have the taunt right now to protect him.
He was reaching for the Dirty Rat, but once he got the taunt off of that, he decided to go for the Voidwalker. Then the Infernal doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because there's only direct damage in the deck of Huang. It's not like he's going to be busting out a Leroy Jenkins anytime soon. So,
and now Huang in pretty dire straits here, is left with very few options, deciding to play that 1/4 just to establish something on the board. Dirty Rat going to pull Northshire Cleric out here, and it's going to give the Joker another taunt, and it looks like just praying to the Lord of Fire is going to pay off.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any way that Huang can win this game from here on out. He needs to draw Blackened Corruptor and a dragon in the next 2 turns to finish off the game, but there's already so much damage on the field that the Joker can just go face here.
Yeah, I think Joker definitely wants to go face, try to close it out as early as he can. It looks like
don't think he should use his face here. Maybe I can double check the list for us, but if there's
another Holy No, you definitely don't want to go face because that's a potential out. If there's a Holy Fire, you're already kind of in a tough spot because that's a potential out. But besides that, there shouldn't be any other outs for Huang here. And we're seeing that arrow right now. Joker really looking like he wants to go face here. It finally decides not to do it. I think that's a heads-up play. 6-6 going to rumble on through, chipping Huang down.
All right, I'm actually looking at his list right now. I just opened up my laptop on the side. We're so professional here. But 1 Holy Nova in the deck, so that is why he was thinking about using his face there. And the Blackwing Corruptor, if it went, if he picked it up, would have a big difference. But speaking of Blackwing Corruptor, as I was looking away,
Corruptor.
But too much damage on the field here for Joker. Just going to finish it off, and nothing for Huang to do. He gets a 17, but that's not going to save him. And the Joker, improbably, after killing a Deathwing Dragon Lord and summoning all of his disciples and followers onto the field, able to pull it out somehow.
Yeah, man, that was definitely one way to do it. A little surprised that did pan out the way that it did, but the Joker going to pull up 1 ahead of Huang in this series.
The funny thing as well is that the only reason why the Deathwing Dragon Lord was played in the first place was because Rag hit the exact minion. Otherwise, Huang probably would have played it a little bit slower.
Man. And Huang had really, he went off. He was able to get that Bran out. He was able to get the Historians and just gain momentum. He had so many bombs, so many chances to win, but the Joker manages to come back.
Yeah, that's about as good of a situation that you can find yourself in as the Dragon Priest, but just, a couple of unfortunate results off the rag. And
I'm not going to lie, I called the match pretty early on there. I thought that Huang was in a position where it was one of those 1% positions.
Yeah, exactly. Everything had to go correctly there for the Joker, and it kind of happened that way. In fact, even if the rag had hit the correct option, if the death comes off the top, then all of a sudden you're back into
There's so many ways that went wrong there for the Joker, but now the Joker is going to jump in on his main mage, and Huang going to stick to his guns with the Dragon Priest and try to pick up his first win of the series. Not a terrible hand here.
Yeah, good choice here from Huang. This is a very good matchup for the Dragon Priest. It's kind of an interesting situation because, players at home might be thinking, well, you said the Dragon Priest isn't good against Reno Log, but it's good against Reno Mage. Why is that? Aren't they similar decks? Well, the reason why is because the removal in the Reno Log is just superior as far as dealing with the high health minions from the Dragon Priest. Things like Flame Strike don't really cut it as compared to things like Twisting Nether.
Yeah, it's like one of those interesting things where the removal suite in Mage answers everything pretty well except this deck list.
Exactly.
I think this is the one deck list that kind of slips through the cracks there. That Shadow Word Pain going to make quick work yet again of an early Doomsayer from the Joker.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see if you are the Priest against Doomsayer. Obviously, you don't want to be sitting there and giving your opponent initiative and just kind of hitting the face and being like, well, I guess it's your turn.
Yeah, another Shadow Word Pain off the top. Not exactly what you do want to see if you are Huang, but he does have a pretty strong 4-drop here, and it looks like that Twilight Guardian is going to hit the battlefield here.
Yeah, at least he has stuff to do for the time being if you are Huang, right? You can play the Cabal Talon Priest or the Twilight Guardian next turn. That gives you 2 draws into some sort of beefy minion in your deck. So you're feeling good here as Huang, even though the Shadow Word Pain you don't really
I will say, though, Huang is in a position here, unlike last game, where, yes, he does have stuff to play in his hand, but he doesn't have any of those discover mechanics to refill the board if he does get hit hard by a removal.
I think he'll pick him up.
Yeah, he does. He does have time here.
His entire deck is basically that. I mean, he has 2 Nether Spite Historians in his deck. He has 2 Azure Drakes. Yeah, Draconid OPs, exactly.
We were messing around yesterday, Noxious and I, just coming up with nicknames for the Dragon Operatives, because that is definitely one of the cards that you are talking about if you're talking about Dragon Priest, just overperforming.
Well, that's exactly why people thought the Dragon Priest might be good, and it was a little bit delayed. People didn't realize, how to play the deck. They thought it would be played more in a control style because of that Dragon Fire Potion, but people said, you know what? This Dragonite Operative is actually so good, I don't even need to have the Dragonfire Potion. It's better to play this as more of a tempo deck.
Yeah, when Dragonfire Potion first got revealed, everyone was going absolutely nuts over that card, and a lot of players deciding to completely cut it out of their decks now that we're getting a better feel for all of the cards in Main Streets. Defender of Argus coming off the top, not a bad pickup here, especially when you don't have the dragons to buff that Twilight Guardian. But Talon Priest isn't bad either, but I think you want to stay a little bit closer to using all of your mana crystals.
Right. I would lean toward the Defender. I wouldn't mind the Cabal Talon Priest. The one thing that's nice for the Defender, though, is that you know exactly what math you need in order to kill something in the future if you do hold on to it. Say, you need one more damage to kill off something like an Emperor Thorson, and in this case, I guess it wouldn't really matter because that wouldn't make a difference, but say you need to kill something that's 4 attack, right? Well, I can buff my Cabal, or I can buff my Twilight Guardian, and whereas if you play it out too early, then all of a sudden you're making these weird trades.
Yeah, you're saying like wait for that knowledge instead of just using the Defender of Argus to say, okay, I have it, let's play on curve, let's pluck through for the extra 2 damage. You can use it to actually trade up efficiently. And we are going to see the Cabal Talon Priest being the play here for Huang. Emperor Thracian going to hit the table, though, on the other side for the Joker.
Yeah, this is pretty annoying if you're Huang here. No real way to deal with this. Does pick up an Azure Drake, though, for, very nice value as the, get the Dragon Activator and a way to cycle through his deck. Azure Drake just so powerful, whether you want spell damage and cycle in the form of Miracle Rogue, or if you're in this deck and you want the Dragon in the cycle.
Yeah, this is just such a hard minion for Huang to deal with, though, here, and he does not want to allow it to sit on the table too long.
I think he just runs in the Talon Priest and the Worm Rest, and then
the nice thing about that too is it does play around Mind Control tech. We need to double check to see if the Joker did opt to bring that into this list. It's not completely standard in the Reno Mage like it is in the Reno Lock.
Right.
But we are going to see the board is still pretty big for Huang, and he does have that Azure Drake now to start drawing a little bit more.
Yep. Absolutely. So for Joker here, now you're just kind of trying to hold on and see if you can't whittle down these minions. It's kind of tough because of the Priest Hero power, which is very strong if you do have a board. Looks like it's going to be Bran into the Cabal Courier. This is pretty huge. Courier, one of the more underrated cards. You can get some huge discovers off of this. Potion of Polymorph is okay. Forbidden Ritual, not as great. You just use all your mana for a couple of smaller guys that can get Holy Nova. Museum Curator is yet another Discover.
It's great here because he can play it right into that brand and get another double Discover off of the Curator, and I'd be surprised if that isn't the play here. Hellfire also could perform well a little bit later on, but the problem is all the dragons have a lot more health than just the 3.
Right. I was going to mention it's tempting to go just slam down the Museum Curator like you just mentioned, but you are taking quite a bit of damage, and you don't have Reno or Ice Block in hand or any sort of healing as well. You do have a lot of freeze, but if you get down low enough, then you're going to be needing to use that freeze every single turn, else you just die. So
this rope is burning close to the wire here. He decides to take the Spellbender and do what you suggested, use that Frost Nova here. And he already did see one of the Shadow Word Pains, probably not expecting another one in Huang's hand to deal with Bran, expecting it to maybe stay another turn. But hey, he doesn't even need to use the Shadow Word Pain, going to develop his board here with the Bookworm and still deal with Bran Bronzebeard.
Yeah, very nice pickup there for Huang to be able to deal with that and not waste time using 2 mana on a spell. Taking a look at the Joker's Mage right now, seeing if there is a Mind Control tech. And
what do you think of Anomalous here as the pickup off of this Curator?
Well, you could go for the cheaper Mistress of Mixtures just to get that healing because you kind of need it right now. You have picked up the Ice Block, which is reasonable, but yeah, Anomalous, it seems nice because you can clear the board, but it's so expensive. I wouldn't be super surprised to see him pick it, though, yeah.
It's expensive and just slow in the fact that it...
Yeah, it's a delayed board clear, right?
You'd rather see 8 damage deal, or 8 mana deal 8 damage, I think, than the Anomalous here. I still do think it is somewhat of a tempting pickup here.
Yeah, the thing is, you can play the Mixtures of Mixtures right now, however, but does go for the Anomalous. He does have ways to stall for quite a bit here.
I understand the Joker, man. I completely understand him at this point because the guy is an absolute cowboy.
He's just like, you know what, screw it, we're going for the Anomalous. When do you get to see this in a high-profile tournament? Right now is his answer.
Yeah, man, he is aggressive, to put it lightly. Blizzard going to round out this turn for the Joker, followed up by an Ice Lance to deal with one of these minions, bringing Huang back down to 3 minions. Now, this is a pretty great pickup. Th3Jok3r Cleric could allow some draw to happen for Huang here.
Yeah, and it kind of fits into his curve as well. He can Th3Jok3r Cleric into heal and play either the Drake or the Defender of Argus to follow that up. And you're a bit worried about Flame Strike, especially with the minions on board to be able to clean up afterward. But this is, if your opponent uses Flame Strike, they're using most of their mana anyways. I don't think that Huang is too concerned about it right now.
Yeah, and you are refilling your hand just a little bit.
Well, Blackwing Technician does survive Flame Strike, but won't survive the Museum Curator attack afterward, obviously with the Cabal going into the Twilight Guardian. So we'll see if Huang elects to buff up his board just a little bit here. Maybe play the Defender of Argus on the right side or the left side. And
I feel like Technician might actually be the strongest play, though. You do want to get a little bit deeper in your deck, but like you said, you can't really play the Azure Drake here because you've already gone pretty wide, and you have to be expecting some board removal to come in. Playing the Technician does allow you to pay the Shadow Word Pain as well. Got to remove that 2/2.
This is directly playing around Flame Strike right now. He just wants to make sure.
Play around Anomalous.
He kind of does because he has a lot of damage on the board.
It totally does play around Anomalous, especially when there isn't a Reno hanging out in the wings.
Well, we do see that if the Joker plays the Anomalous, then Huang would be 1 damage off lethal with his Defender of Argus here. But obviously, as the Joker, you know, 1 Blackwing Corruptor or any set of cards like, you know, Defender of Argus into Holy Nova will kill you. This seems like not the time to play the Anomalous, but everything else is kind of a bit weak. The Volcanic Potion is reasonable. You can combine that with the rest of the spells in your hand, the Frostbolt and the Arcane Blast to help you out a bit here. Just what is the best option. You can't play all of the cards from the left of the Anomalous on.
Yeah, but after the last game, I do think if the Joker plays the Anomalous here, he has a 100% win rate. that is a fact, D2. If he plays Anomalous right now, he wins this match. He's going to decide to play that Ice Block, playing it safe. I expected more out of you, Joker. Going to follow that up with the Volcanic Potion.
Okay, a bit of an error here. He could have attacked his Museum Curator in first in order to kill off potentially the Twilight Guardian, at least get it down to a 3/3. So
yeah, I mean, you may as well use the damage if you have it. A little bit of a miss sequence.
Into Drake here. That's a way to refill your hand, certainly. Or you can just go with Defender of Argus for a bigger board.
I think he feels like it's pretty safe here as well. I mean, the brand now is going to be a 4/6. What does answer that?
Fireball, kind of. Anomalous answers it.
Fireball and Anomalous, baby.
This is really interesting because he can play the Anomalous now.
Forgotten Torch also will answer that brand.
Well, this is a great spot for Anomalous now that he's picked up the Ice Block, or played the Ice Block, I should say. So Anomalous could clear the board. The unfortunate thing is that you'd have to ping his own Anomalous because nothing on the board has enough damage to kill it. But it will clear the board, and then he has Alexstrasza to follow up.
Yeah, so Anomalous has made it onto the playing field here. Draconid Operative,
double Draconid Operative.
Very nice time to get that card. And he has a little bit of time here.
No Growing Torch to discover, though. But you can discover Burst. That's the thing, though. For the Joker, he can't clear the board. I suppose he can Frostbolt his own Anomalous. That has to be the play next turn, right? You attack in, then you Frostbolt your own Anomalous, and
yeah,
play
you have to do it. But Fireball. I do like still playing this way, getting the Draconid Operative out, and getting 2 cards for the potential of burn.
Polymorph is pretty good for some of the bigger minions like Alexstrasza. Babbling
is, but Babbling Book is also good for the
Polymorph right now.
We can just Polymorph the Anomalous.
Oh my goodness. I was thinking about the next turn. Like, you can just Polymorph the Anomalous.
We're thinking 4 steps ahead. Anomalous not going to have any payoff here.
I will accept a rank 25 casters on that one.
that was well deserved.
Like, what, you can use Polymorph on Anomalous? What?
Wow, yeah, so we did get rid of that Anomalous here.
Yeah, easy pick there, obviously, if you are Huang. He's not a rank 25 caster, obviously.
Not at all. Looking for an out here with the Kabbalah's Tome, and he's not going to find it.
Yeah, and that's just going to be game. There's no real way to
Huang's
survive
going to tie this one back up. This was a favorable matchup for him, but now it is going to be 1-1. Huang versus the Joker.
Wow, what an insane couple of pickups there. Obviously, the polymorph being the bigger one here for Huang off of that Dragonhead operative.
I was so drawn in by the Babbling Book. I was like, he can find more burn off the Babbling Book.
You know what? I was too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to look at the Babbling Book. You're like, Babbling Book? Babbling Book? He could get a polymorph off of that.
If he went Babbling Book into Polymorph, oh man, well, now this series has just gotten that much closer. Let's take a look at the list that they have left here. We got the Warlock and the Warrior for Huang, and we got that Shaman and the Mage for the Joker.
Just goes to show you how powerful that Dragon Priest is, though. People downplay it, I know a lot of players
It's performed very well here in China.
Players were making fun of Orange. They're like, you brought Priest? I guess you're going to lose then. It's like, no, I'm just going to win my group. Easy peasy, right?
He looked really good on it as well. And one of the interesting things we got here, and the field was just absolutely dominated by both Reno Mage and Reno Locke. And like you said, the Dragon Priest has the good matchup against the Reno Mage.
Yeah. And that's pretty huge. You can just throw it out there. And, like we saw earlier, it very nearly was able to take out the Reno Lock as well. So it's one of those decks you just throw out there. And a lot of times, if you curve out well, you can beat almost any deck.
Yeah, and it does have a lot of explosive potential with those Discover mechanics. Dragonhead Operative is just one of the strongest cards in this set, hands down. One of the things, though, that we're going to have to see a little bit later on is when we actually get into those Dragon Priest mirrors, because those are always absolutely batty.
Dragonhead Operative into Dragonhead Operative into more Dragonhead
You just go
Operative.
infinite. you pretty much just go infinite on Dragonhead Operatives. But the Joker going to decide to bring his variant right now.
Going to be the aggro shaman, yeah.
His list is pretty interesting. I noticed a few things in it. The one thing that really stood out to me is the Lightning Storm that he has opted to bring into this field, which is going to be a dead card in this matchup.
Yeah, sometimes the Lightning Storm can be useful if you're going against other aggro decks, but yeah, in this particular matchup, unless the game has devolved into a state where your opponent's played like an Ooze and a Mistress of Mixers or something like that, then it's
what do you think about keeping Aya in your opening hand here?
Side effects? No.
I suppose he has, a curve in mind. So his early game is the Spirit Claws and Totem Golem, and then you pick up either more minions to be able to just flood the board, or you pick up removal. I think it's a very, very kind of safe play, like erring on the side of caution, so that he knows that in order to win this game, he needs as many minions as possible. And Aya certainly is very annoying, kind of like your own, cheap Savannah High main in a way to play against
We
control.
have compared it to every Death Rattle card already this week. We've been in China for one day. We've compared it to Piloted Shredder. We've compared it to Harvest Golem. I think it was Noxious who called it a more stable Harvest Golem. We've compared it to everything. Aya is Aya, and Aya is dope. I think we can agree on that. Now
I think the Savannah High main is a pretty good comparison, though, because of the high attack. It has more attack than health. I guess Shredder is another one like that, but it also makes a minion and makes the minion afterwards. So it's kind of like the two hyenas that come out in a way, especially in this deck where you're not expecting to get super massive Jade Golems.
Yeah, but those Jade Golems do end up being very real. 3-4 is going to be developed by the Joker. Huang just going to go in with that tap and pass.
Right, obviously nothing to do there. But he does pick up an Imking Boss and a Defender of Argus, which synergizes very well with Imking Boss because of the fact that you're likely going to get a couple of minions off of it.
I feel like he's hesitant to play the Finley here because he wants to jam the Spell Power Totem at some point. He only has one Azure Drake in this list, but I feel like at this point you just play the Finley and you play the Spirit Claws. You curve out, you get the damage in while you can.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, he wants to just get a totem on the field rather than, for instance, a Hunter Hero Power, which he might choose. But if he gets a Life Tap, it's perfectly fine to go for Spirit Claw's Life Tap next turn. Does not get it. This is between Fire Blast and Hunter. Looks like he's going to go for the Hunter for the extra damage to face here. Going to go ahead, take this Mistress of Mixtures while he can. And so next turn, probably going to be Spirit Claws with the Hero Power, unless he picks up something because he wants to save that mana for the Flame Wreath.
Yeah, definitely does not want to overload himself here, and that is going to be an incredible rip off the top of his deck. Going to be able to windmill slam this Flame Tongue Totem. And this card has gotten, do you think it's safe to say this card has gotten even stronger just with the inclusions from Mean Streets?
The Flame Tongue Totem?
Because Noxious made, we were kind of discussing, like, did it get even more powerful just with the current landscape?
There's so many crazy things you can do with patches, for instance. Like, if your opponent plays a Doomsayer, you can just kill it off with a South Sea Deckhand and a patches with a Flame Tongue Totem. It's pretty nuts in that regard, and you can really just trade off really well. It makes it really cool, too, because it emphasizes positioning even more, even though people just, like, they get really angry at the fact that
positioning is important in Shaman right now, and really making sure, like you said, at certain points you can have the patches jump on out of the cannon, instantly get buffed, and trade up.
Exactly. Well, the Joker has made the situation really annoying for Huang here. He kind of wants to play the Hellfire, but it's kind of one of the best ways to deal with any sort of Shaman board.
And if you are the Reno Lock right now,
ooh, very
you
patient.
know that the 7/7 is coming. It is turn 4.
He doesn't have a way to deal with it, though, and I think this is why Huang decided to tap. He's like, I need Blast Crystal Potion right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little too early to actually be getting the Siphon Soul, so the only answer that he could potentially get right now is going to be that potion. Second Rate Bruiser gums up the board a little bit. It will slow it down, but not really the card that you wanted to see here.
Yeah, it just gets Lava Burst, and then you take a ton of damage
the
on the
slow way to
backside.
remove it is to Hellfire next turn, maybe clean up with the Shadow Bolt.
Yeah, at that point, you hope your opponent plays a minion so that you can play the second rate Bruiser in the Shadow Bolt, or a couple minions, I should say. But this is a painful way to go about it for sure. He does take off the 5 damage from the Finley and the Flame Tongue Totem, but still going to be taking quite a lot, obviously. And going to need, he probably just needs to play Reno next turn, to be honest.
Yeah, one of the nice things about Finley, he decides not to do it. I was going to say he really could start to weave in a lot of those hero powers and pressure out the Reno without expending too many resources here. Reno does get pulled out nonetheless.
Nice hold on by the Joker, by the way, holding on to his Jade Claws, realizing that Reno could be an option here for Huang. Patch is picked up off the top here for Joker, not what he wants to see. He hasn't picked up any other pirates to his name. And we're actually at a situation, it looks so bad for Huang, but he has managed this pretty beautifully. There's lots of bursts in the Joker's hand, but, you know, without that Warlock hero power, doesn't have the sustain, and, you know, using hero power every single turn is not going to help too much if you're prioritizing that because of the Duraxis in hand.
Yeah, he's somewhat stabilized here, and he's starting to hit that premium removal, and he's only going to continue to do that. Abyssal Forcer is going to be online next turn. That's going to deal with a lot of the potential draws that the Joker does have.
Yeah, and Joker's looking at this Lava Burst in hand saying, am I going to delay Aya again here by playing this? And that's really the best way. The only other way to deal with it is go for Lightning Bolt plus trade everything in other than the Flaming Faceless. And it looks like he's going to elect for that instead. And just put this patches onto the board, get some damage in, as well as use the hero power. This allows for Aya next turn, but Shadow Bolt's now going to take out this Flaming Faceless.
Yeah, I think whatever you do need to preserve the Faceless no matter what line you do take there. And at this point, he does get to play that Aya next turn. I think the Joker picked the right line there.
So, over on Huang's side, this is really annoying. He wishes he had one more card in hand to play out this Mountain Giant and the Shadow Bolt, but as it stands, just really awkward. Even the second rate booster can't come out. He can Demon Wrath if he really wants to get rid of those patches, but there is a Kazakh a little bit late. If he had just picked it, if they had ripped it off the top there for that turn, that would have been huge, but now he's going to have to face this Aya without a board.
We'll say, though, the Kazakhs does give him even more potential down the line to stabilize. 17 health remaining, though, here. And like you said, Aya does need to be answered.
The Abyssal can sort of deal with it. A 3/3 Golem pops out, and he will be at 14. It's a bit scary, but you have Duraxis the following turn.
Yeah, you can also potentially play the second-rate Bruiser, but I don't really like that play.
Yeah, Aya is just so much damage that getting rid of it with something like the Abyssal. But
you
Farseer off the top does change things a little bit. He, again, just 1 minute short of some pretty good turns here. Second Rate Bruiser into Demon Wrath and Farseer. He could go for Kazakis into 1 mana potion just to stay alive, and then Farseer or just the Bruiser as well. Oh, he's going to play it very risky here. Gonna go for just the biggest board possible, realizing that he wants a large board so that he can Jiraxis the following turn. But is that just lethal with a Lava Burst? So Lava Burst into that 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 13. That's exact lethal, I'm counting.
Joker gonna be able to
exact mana, exact damage. Exact mana, exact damage off the top here for the Joker, and that is very unfortunate if you're Huang. If he survives that turn, he has Jiraxis and a huge board.
Yeah, and now the Joker only needs to win 1 more game here to take the first win out of Group D.
I gotta say, you know, without playing favorites or anything, I got a feel for Huang here. Both times he lost, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, the Joker, he's just a cowboy, man. Absolute desperado here, and now he just needs to find a win on that mage.
The cowboy from South Africa.
Yeah, man. Some people actually call him the gangster of love.
Perhaps.
I promised I wouldn't start. I promised I wouldn't start with the Joker jokes.
Oh, man.
But hey, at this point, I think he would be cool with it.
Yeah, perhaps.
I got to meet the Joker when we were in Dubai, and he's an awesome guy. And he was just so excited to be at the tournament as well. It was his first tournament, and he takes first place and finds out that he's going to China to compete yet again. And I know he's been grinding, really getting ready for this event. Huang going to decide to mulligan absolutely everything here.
All right. Rich, are you ready for me to nerd out a little bit here on this matchup? So
You're going to nerd out?
Well, the thing is,
this
matchup, okay, when Reno Mage first started to become a thing, which was just a couple of weeks ago, people said, oh, it beats Reno Lock. And part of that was the little bit of experience that they had playing against it. Part of it was just theory crafting. They said, we have similar amounts of removal, and the biggest thing that helps Reno Lock is they have Jiraxis to help with these control matches. But you can't do that against Reno Mage because we have so much burn. Once you play Jiraxis, we just hold on to our burn, we play Jiraxis, we win the game with our burn. But there is a lag in how certain players started playing this. I kind of compare it to Anyfin Paladin versus Control Warrior, where people thought that was a 90% matchup for Anyfin Paladin. But then Control Warrior started to learn how to win it, and then all of a sudden it became very much even. Same thing happens here. For the Reno Lock, people realized if you just jam as much stuff on the board as possible, bait out the removal, and do crazy next level plays, like for instance going for the 1 mana spell from Kazakis even when you're not in trouble so that you can get armor onto your Jiraxis, things like that to keep you alive, then suddenly this matchup flips on its head and it's actually favored for the Reno Lock. We've seen lots of Reno Locks win this matchup recently in big tournaments. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to see a matchup just completely flip, not because of any different cards or any different techs, just people learning to play the matchup better.
You be a nerd more often. I like that. I like that. Yeah, no, so you in this matchup, you're going to favor Huang?
Yeah, exactly. It used to be favored for the Reno Mage, but now it is because people have gotten better at this matchup. And you see Huang actually pick this before the Control Warrior, which he has, which is slightly unfavored against the Mage as well. But it just goes to show how he feels about this.
He definitely thinks that it is his best matchup of the two. And now that you mentioned the Control Warrior and we're theory crafting a little bit, what do you think about bringing the Control Warrior to WESG?
Well, it's a deck that VLPS, for instance, has used to win open tournaments so far. He's done extremely well with it. It's kind of the pioneer of that particular deck. And what you're able to do is you're able to take out some of the more aggressive lineups, and on top of that, if you're very good at playing the deck, you can completely neutralize some of the more control matchups as well if you play your Dirty Rats at the exact moment to get rid of those super powerful cards like Kazakis, like Reno.
Yeah, and that has been a big theme of the Dirty Rat, just a very important card throughout this entire tournament. But now let's turn our eyes back to this match because this is a big one. Both of these players are newer players to the scene. They're really coming up in a big way at one of the biggest Hearthstone tournaments to have ever happened. And they're both looking to take a name for themselves. And this is their first match in the group. So this really does set the tone for the entire day and the entire tournament.
Looking at this play from the Joker, very interesting. Just going to sacrifice his Water Elemental just so he can potentially get this Doomsayer off. The only issue is he doesn't really have much of a play afterward. Typically when you do this, you know, as Huang, you're afraid of your opponent slamming Emperor Thorson after this, right?
Yeah, you're getting the priority, and inherently that you're getting tempo and protecting your minion with that Doomsayer.
Right. But the thing is, Joker only has the Azure Drake to follow up, which is nice for, you know, cycling into your deck and getting that bit of spell damage, but it's not going to provide you much tempo per se at only 4 health, which can be somewhat easily dealt with if you're on the side of Huang. And looks like Huang has picked up his 10th card here. He's going to have to play something out into this Doomsayer.
I feel like you're fine to just play that Mistress of Mixtures, just get the 2 health off of it for...
The 4 health, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, the 4 health, and the Joker gonna be back up to full, but I feel like that is a fine play from Huang there. Joker, though, like you said, he doesn't pick anything up off the top, so he's just going to play out that 4/4 body, get a little bit deeper into his deck.
To be fair, he had to find a way to deal with the Mountain Giant. There wasn't really any other way other than expending an Ice Lance and just kind of letting it go. At least he's getting the initiative off of this and making it so that Huang has to deal with his Drake first and foremost before he gets into the board. And this is the thing, if you are Huang, right? Like I mentioned before, the way you win this matchup is you continually just put pressure onto the mates and force them to use their burn. But as it stands, in this equal state of the game, this favors the Joker because now he might pick up ways to deal with the minions from Huang without using his burn and save that burn for Jiraxis.
Yeah, it's one of those things that can very easily snowball right now out of Huang's control. But looking over at the Joker, not too many crazy plays to be had here. He can just throw the Kazakus down and get that potion, get that knowledge, and really know what he has to work with later on in the game.
It's so tempting to save Kazakus for either the Bran or the Manic Soulcaster, but I feel like he kind of just has to do it just to get something out onto the field and use his mana up efficiently, because later on he's going to be hurting for mana.
Yeah, it's just like, what else do you develop here if you don't play the Kazakus? You could play both your secrets here is the other option.
All right, just going to go ahead and play the Ice Block into the Blood Mage. I don't mind this either. Playing it very patiently is the Joker. Wants to just cycle here. I'm curious to see if we're going to see the Spellbreaker come out, but now that the Emperor Thorson has come out, it allows for a few options. If you play out the Sylvanas, then that's problematic with something like the Forgotten Torch. But yeah, it is going to be the Thorson. Lots of value in hand right now. And one of the big things here is that Jiraxis is discounted, so he can play that and an Infernal, so he doesn't really lose too much tempo when he does it. And if he holds onto the coin for the rest of the game until he gets Kazakus, he can actually go for the 1-mana Kazakus potion, get 4 armor, and get an Infernal on the same turn.
Yeah, and that would definitely swing the game into his favor. Now, Joker left with the same thought that he has to decide on that he had last turn. You can play the Kazakus now, or you can wait and try to get more value off of it.
He really wants to kill off this Thorson. Like, it's so bad when, you know, Huang isn't playing the combo, but
I mean,
you
can
lose
just
on
Frost
so
Nova
much
Ice
tempo.
Lance here? I mean, where else do you need it?
There's a few places you might need it, especially when you're facing off a huge board of Infernals. You know,
yeah, the Infernal would be a pretty big moment for that. But if you can get double value off the Kazakus, that does give you potential to deal with.
Ooh, here's the Kazakus for Huang, and
he has the brand too.
The first time I saw a player, yeah, it does have the brand like you mentioned. I think he's gonna go for 1 in 10 here. Because the first player to go that I've seen go for the 1-mana potion off the Kazakus as the arena log was a player from China by the name of Lovely Chuk, the EU versus CN champion, and does go for the 1, like we just mentioned. Wants to get that armor. I think he chose the armor here.
He picked that so quick. Now he's actually going for the 1 and the 10.
Yeah.
And yeah, beautiful play here out of Huang.
He wants to get as much armor as possible once he gets Jiraxis, because at that point you have so much value, it doesn't really matter. Did you get a chance to look at it? I think he got...
He went lightning fast there. I wasn't actually able to see what...
our spectator hovered over it for a moment on the 1-mana spell, but I imagine he went straight for the armor if that was an option there. I think we saw... Was green armor? I'm totally forgetting.
Yeah, I'm trying to see right now. So he only has 9 cards in hand, so he doesn't feel the need to play that potion here.
Yeah, there you go.
4
armor.
He does get the 4 armor, so he can play that alongside Jiraxis. And now we're getting in the position that you mentioned. He does have that discount. He does have that coin. If he waits till turn 10 to play the Jiraxis, he can play Jiraxis. he can play out an Infernal and also get that armor.
That's pretty insane.
It is a huge swing.
Yeah, and his 10-cost spell is summon 3 minions that died this game while giving them 6 health. Pretty nice. Put the fatty minions onto the field here. Looks like Joker wants to go ahead and take out this brand before it causes any more damage. Though the only thing in hand that would help in CLHuang's hand right now would be the Defender of Argus.
Yeah, I mean, is this the point of the game where you really start to favor Huang in this matchup?
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at Joker's hand, there's not much going on for him. I'm going to go ahead and play out this counterspell here that he got off the Babbling Book. It might just counter a coin, which is somewhat of a big deal here if you are Huang. It looks like he's just going to go for the Jiraxis. And the nice thing here is he's going to play the coin, and it's going to get counterspelled, but he will still be able to play
He can still play the potion. Yeah, so he does miss the body this turn, but the consolation prize is going to be that potion. Oh, is he not even going to opt to play the coin here? I feel like it is the right play to try to play the coin.
So I think there's a bit of a mistake in sequencing because he could have checked for effigy first before he potentially gave his opponent 315 on the field with the Jiraxis.
Oh yeah, that is definitely a very real thing that should have happened, because you know that one of those secrets, it wasn't one that he initially had in his deck, so it could have been the effigy.
Absolutely. Right. Well, there's the brand here for the Joker. This could turn the game around if he gets powerful enough spells off of this, but he is on the clock to be super certain those Infernals are going to be coming out every single turn, and there's no real way for the Joker to get swiftly back on the board here. I suppose he can go for Volcanic Potion into Brand and Kazakus. That helps a little bit, and no removal on the side of Huang, so that would certainly help out the Joker here.
Yeah, I feel like the best line that you do have is just really developing that Brand, following it up with the Kazakus, and hoping for some really powerful potions.
I think he potions first here, just to get rid of the board, because this increases the chance that your opponent can't deal with it. Or can't deal with the minions on board. Maybe you get more value out of the brand in the future.
Decides to do just that. Let's see which potions he decides to take. He's going to start off.
I think he went for all sheep, I imagine. He picked these pretty quickly. Probably going to go for double 10 here, yes. Oh, no, goes for the 5.
Goes for 5. What do you think of that, D2?
Well, the 10 obviously is the most powerful, but the 5 is... The 10's kind of like a 7-mana spell. Or not really, but it's like, if you compare the spells, the 1 mana is kind of like a 4, the 5 is kind of like an 8, and the 10's kind of like a 10, right? So they're not that far apart, and the 5 allows you to fit in other things. Obviously, the big problem with the 10-mana spells, you can't do anything else. So
yeah, we'll just note, though, that he doesn't have too many cards in hand right now that do synergize particularly well with that 5-mana spell. Spellbreaker going to be coming down right now, going to silence that brand, prevent it from getting any more work done here.
Yeah, I think that the Infernal plus the Defender of Argus is going to come out here, because he doesn't want to take any chip damage from these minions, right? There's a reason why he put this armor up, is so that he wouldn't die to any sort of burst. But once you get that chip damage in, that burst, you know, the armor is pretty much nullified.
Yeah, Defender of Argus is a very good card to have in your hand at this point in the game, because like you said, the primary win condition is to get all the value out of Jiraxis while being out of range of the burn.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to go for a second-rate booster plus perhaps the Sun-Free Protector, just to... Yeah, just get more stuff on the board. This is not too vulnerable to Flame Strike. It is kind of. You can still get the Kazakus through to the face here this way. But no, he's going to use his face to kill off the Kazakus, realizing that that could be an issue going forward. And he could take double damage if there's Flame Strike right now.
And now the Joker going to use that Acidic Swamp Ooze. And he does have the option to play that 5-mana spell along with it as well. Which, if he plays it now, I'm assuming he's also going to follow up with an Ice Barrier. If not, we might see that Arcane Intellect get used now.
Well, the Kazakus Potion draws 2 cards, if I'm not mistaken, so it's kind of the same thing as Arcane Intellect if he's going to do one over the other. Summons a 5/5 demon, draws 2 cards, so... The funny thing is he drew... Yeah, there you see it right there. But the funny thing is he drew Arcane Intellect right afterward. He really needed the cards that he surmised, and this is going to help him get back into the game. He's still under pressure, obviously, from all these 6s coming down, but being able to draw cards to continuously clear the board will help him out.
Kabbalah's Tome, not a terrible pickup. It's a little bit slow, but it may give him some answers to deal with the board here. Going to trade that 2-4 and follow it up with a Hero Power to remove one of the top minions. That Huang did have here.
The big thing here for Huang, though, is that he has now gotten out of the initial stage of directs, right? It takes a couple turns to just get rid of your opponent's stuff because you're kind of just getting online with your Infernals, but now he's pretty much stabilized, and he can just start rushing out the Infernals with the board lead already.
Yeah, and he does have that Defender of Argus, too, that he can jam at some point. He still has a 10-mana potion. He's sitting in a pretty good spot. He does have options for pretty much any scenario that can happen here.
The interesting thing is, with this 10-mana potion, I wonder when he uses it. Maybe he just waits until he's had a lot of his Infernals die. The only issue is that if you wait too long, they might be sheep that you're reviving.
Yeah, it's almost a contingency plan, though, right? But like you said, if you wait too long, like if you're using it as pure backup, if that's the emergency glass, you might actually shoot yourself in the foot and bring back lower value minions.
Yeah, it's tempting to say, like, oh, I'm going to bring back all Infernals. They're going to have +6 health. I'm going to have 3 6/12s on the field. But, yeah, it looks like he's going to go for it now and give his minions lots of health. He summons... Oh, gets the Mountain Giant. That's very nice for him. You know, the Imp, not that great, but the Spellbreaker that's pretty much a Twilight Drake on the field.
Oh,
so.
yeah, that absolutely massive body there. 1/7, not anything to write home about, but like you said, if you wait any longer, you could just see an entire field of 1/7s. Kabbalah's Tome is going to be the play from Joker, hoping to find something here, hoping to find an answer. He does find the Flame Strike, but doesn't really answer any of these
Polymorph
8/14 minions. Yeah, I mean, you can use that Polymorph on the 8/14, but still not looking like he's going to be able to find an answer. It looks like Huang might be able to knot this one up.
The thing is, when the Joker played his Kazakis, he had the option to go for Mass Polymorph, but apparently didn't decide to go for it because this seems like the best board you could ever Mass Polymorph.
I mean, if you Mass Polymorph, you can maybe find a win condition here.
Right, exactly. So that means that he probably didn't pick the Mass Polymorph because this seems like an auto cast at this moment.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Definitely do agree with you there. Instead of Mass Polymorphing, just gonna Polymorph the 8/14.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play that out. I think he didn't really want any clunky spells from that. He wanted more cheap spells with his Antonidas, maybe the 0-mana Freeze Potion, for instance. So, yeah, didn't work out here for Joker. Has a few options to potentially continue to stay alive, but Huang is bringing the pain here. Does he have a way to pop this Ice Block right now? I'm going to be honest, I haven't really been counting at the moment. Looks
there
like
are a lot of numbers to count there, T2. I'm going to give you the advantage.
Ooh,
there.
exact pop at 1 and doesn't have his weapon in hand. So this is an exact pop. Sometimes fortunate if you are Huang here, and this is going to put
had some bad beats earlier. We're gonna let him have this here.
Exactly.
He had all the bad beats. He got it all out of the way early. Now he knots up the series and he goes into the last game of the series with all the good karma.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to, right? Sometimes occasionally fortunate, even though it wasn't that case earlier on in the match here. But
yeah, he found himself in some pretty wicked scenarios earlier on, and it looks like the Joker isn't going to be able to find an answer. This is just one of those boards that there really aren't many answers to, and you talked a lot about Reno Lock having answers to this exact scenario in the form of like Twisting Nether.
Yeah, exactly.
Mage just doesn't have that.
And this is why this matchup has turned on its head. Look at how much value the Joker has, but unable to use it because of all the pressure that's come out from Huang here. Joker was probably looking for Blizzard. He already used the Frost Nova earlier to take out the Thorson with the Ice Lance earlier in the game. And so no real chance to get out of this one. He can play the Conjurer, but there's no 2-mana Frost Nova. That's unfortunately from way back when in the beta days, or at least in the early stages of Hearthstone. And yeah, this is just going to be it for the Joker. Going to play out the Vaporize in vain because no matter what gets vaporized, it doesn't really matter. There's a lot of stuff on the board.
Mind games. Hopefully you trick your opponent not to swing in. But
like it's Ice Block. I can't attack with anything.
Everything's frozen. All right, well, we are going to see that Vaporize chip off a minion that does not matter at this point. The Bruiser's going to be the demise for the Joker series. Knotted up. Huang back in this after a string of terrible defeats. Now the Joker just needs to get this win on the Mage, and he's been trying to do it for a long time. Is Huang going to be able to find the reverse sweep here, D2?
This next game is really just, it hurts your head.
Oh, yeah.
It goes... You wouldn't think so. You would think that the mage just finds a way to win the game. One way they can win is through a crazy Archmage Antonidas, but typically this game goes to fatigue. And the way that the mage is able to win is you play your Reno and you Manic Soulcaster it back in your deck. Better yet, you have the Emperor Thorson discount and you Bran into your Reno and then you double caster it back into your deck, so you get the triple full heal, and then from there you're able to just outlast the massive amounts of armor that coming from the warrior because you just have that many more cards in your deck.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's pretty easy to deal with the threats that the warrior does throw down with the removal, so those aren't necessarily dead cards.
There actually aren't many threats in the warrior.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
exactly.
Ali Armorsmith.
Yeah, it's just like don't let them. There is the Dirty Rat. Now the Dirty Rat.
Dirty Rat's huge.
It could just be the win condition for Huang if he pulls that Reno out. He can't pull off any. Joker can't pull off any of the shenanigans that you mentioned.
The funny thing is, you don't really care about the Reno. You care about the Manic Soulcaster because that is 2 ticks of fatigue more.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But yeah, the Dirty Rat's certainly going to be absolutely huge. I would just laugh if Dirty Rat comes out and pulls Dirty Rat right now.
Dirty Rat for Dirty Rat. Joker threw back that Reno. He's going to find it again here on turn 1.
So yeah, both players, if they can help it, they won't draw.
I want to bring up one thing and just pick your brain on it. So,
oh, he's going to just slam it? Anyway, go ahead. Sorry,
yeah,
false alarm.
that would be a cowboy move. Both these guys being absolutely just out for blood here. But the thing is this warrior deck isn't so much in the meta right now. Do you think that there's a chance that the Joker may not be as well practiced, not really know what the route is to victory in this?
Yeah, it certainly could be the case. I've cast a couple of games of this particular matchup, and it certainly isn't completely mapped out, even with the most experienced of players. So if he doesn't have a lot of experience with this matchup, it's going to hurt him. And it looks like he's going for the route of the Antonidas and going to burn you down, because typically you don't really want to be drawing cards in this matchup if you're going to fatigue route.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. And as soon as we started to see him draw the cards, maybe think he isn't as well informed as you are, really, with the way that this matchup goes.
Oh, he could be going for a different game plan. I'm not going to just spring it on him like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm not trying to throw that in on him at all, but the thing is this is one of those matchups that you may not have practiced for, even if you did all your homework.
Yeah, and the Joker in a kind of an interesting spot here because he doesn't want to play the Ooze because he wants to save that for one of the 2 Gore Howls that you run in this Control Warrior. I like to call it Removal Warrior because there's no threat, just removal.
Yeah, right.
And the Joker has nothing else to really do right now. He can Frost Nova onto nothing, but that's very good with Antonidas later on, especially with Emperor discount. The Dirty Rat isn't that great, although it's actually not too bad against the Control Warrior just to throw it out. Looks like he's just going to Fireball the face so that he doesn't overdraw a card here. Figures that that's eventually going to go face regardless. Ali Armorsmith, very nice pickup off the top for here for Huang, just to be able to play something out in the field to get some sort of board presence.
The thing with Dirty Rat that's really interesting, like, when it comes down is such an interesting thing. Now, when do you want to be trying to play the Dirty Rat out to disrupt the Joker?
Yeah, if you're Huang, you wait until your opponent has played a few cards. At the moment, as Huang, you just saw your opponent Fireball you in the face, which means that they don't have any sort of standard just play this minion out on the field minions. They have combo minions in their hand right now. Things like Antonidas, could be that Ooze, could be like Thorson in hand that he just can't play yet, could be Reno, could be the Soulcaster. There's a wide variety of cards that could be in Joker's hand as far as the minions are concerned, but they're very specific cards right now, or just expensive cards that you can't play. And the rest is just spells. So Huang is getting a tiny picture of what the Joker has. If he could play the rat, the Dirty Rat here, and remove something immediately, he would have already. But here comes the first Dirty Rat here from the Joker. Doesn't get anything of particular importance. Just gets that Ravaging Ghoul, which doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, I suspect if Huang had enough armor to shield slam down something like an Antonidas, he might have pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's starting to get in that position where he does have the read that he could potentially be pulling some of those combo cards here.
The Joker ropes, which means he doesn't get the ping off. This allows for a bash and the attack in with the Ravaging Ghoul to take out this Dirty Rat. And Huang he does have some minion presence. I don't think he pulls the trigger on the dirty quite yet, even though it's tempting to. I think he just kind of holds back for the time being.
For the same reason that you said, he doesn't really have a way to answer something like that.
Right. And on top of that as well, sorry to cut you off, but like he wants to get the massive dirty rat, wants to go Bran dirty rat into brawl, or Bran dirty rat, and then see, take a look at the field and say, okay, those minions, I have to kill those minions, and then the rest of them you don't really care about.
Yeah, and like you said, if he does pull the Manic Soulcaster, that's one of the things that can definitely change the landscape.
Or Antonidas. That's the other win condition here for the Joker.
Yeah, if he can pull Antonidas and kill it on the spot, because the Joker has put himself in a position where he's been drawing cards this matchup.
Absolutely. So the Joker just kind of in an awkward spot here. Could we see just a Tempo Reno? The Manic Soulcaster is nice to put the Reno back into your deck, but just getting the fatigue off of you is pretty nice as well. And if you put other things into your deck, you do have the Alexstrasza to heal up as well, and you have that ice barrier. But the Joker just, you can kind of see the lack of confidence in his plays. He's kind of just reaching for a card like, maybe not this one, maybe the Reno, maybe the ice barrier. Don't want to bash him too much, but it just seems like he's unsure of himself.
Yeah, this is not one of the lists I think you prepare for coming into this tournament. I mean, the Reno decks are the hotness. You know that you're going to have to at least be banning an aggro shaman from time to time. This Ali Armorsmith actually being a pretty great pickup here.
Yeah, he could just equip the Gorehowl. It would get the Ooze out of the hand. He doesn't have a Fire War Axe to back it up. But the problem with the Ali Armorsmith is you're giving your opponent potentially something to do. But obviously you can't go for the freeze plus Doomsayer because Gorehowl sweeps that up.
Yeah, well, we are going to see Ali Armorsmith come onto the table here for Huang.
Joker gets something to do here with this Firelands portal. The rest of his hand is just kind of, waiting to explode with that Archmage Antonidas. Obviously wants to get the Alexstrasza on his opponent's face as well. But other than that, he's just kind of sitting around. The spell's mostly going to be used in conjunction with Archmage Antonidas. At the moment, without any Thaurissan discounts, he can go for Antonidas into Coin, Arcane Blast, Ice Lance for a total of 3 Fireballs. If he gets a Frostbolt in the hand, that's 4 with the amount of mana that he has available to him. That's on turn 10, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to draw the pieces to get the burn plan online. Firelands Portal, is that just the play here?
Yeah, he's reaching for it. Nothing else to really do here unless he wants to just throw out a Blizzard just randomly. On the other hand, for CLHuang, as we see this Firelands Portal come out and see what comes out, just the 4/4 here.
Not too happy to see that body jump on out of the portal.
All right, are we going to see Gorehowl or are we going to see the Golem? Looks like it's going to be Gorehowl first. This is going to finally allow for the Joker to play that Ooze out on the left side of his hand. But these Ali Armorsmiths continue to pick up armor here. Basically, it feels like Justicar is out in the field. But that was what I was about to say, is that Huang really wants to pick up Justicar soon here to counter the damage from the fireballs coming out later.
Yeah, this is pretty insane, though, seeing the value that these Ali Armorsmiths have been able to pick up. Blizzard going to be the play here, try to mitigate that. Joker does finally manage to remove one of them.
I wonder if Huang just throws his shield block out. He's seen his opponent use an Arcane Intellect already, so perhaps he's not concerned about this going to fatigue, especially because if you get Justicar quicker, that actually helps out in the fatigue battle if you get it 1 turn quicker.
See Huang looking at that Gramage, maybe trying to get a little bit of extra pressure out, but I don't think it's time to pull that trigger.
Well, if he does kill the Ooze, it makes it more likely that his Ali Armorsmith survives, which gives him more armor.
In the long run, yeah.
Right. So that's what he's probably considering right now. Just pull the trigger on the shield block. And like I mentioned, the quicker you get the Justicar, the better. Obviously, you don't want to be mass cycling through your deck because you get pretty quick to fatigue.
And you do know that the Joker has drawn more than you already, right? We saw some of those Arcane Intellects coming on out.
And Joker also has the coin, so he started with having drawn 1 more card. He's basically a half card ahead in draw.
Rope starting to burn down here for Huang.
I don't mind the bash. He does have execute and
Yeah, you
shield
get rid of
slam
the
in
minion,
hand.
you ensure more armor over the course of the game, and you don't have to draw a card. So that does put you ahead in that fatigue strategy as well. I feel like that's a pretty solid line to be going. Now the Joker has a pretty tough decision to make yet again.
Could just Alex here.
Yeah, I feel like Alex might just be the play.
Right. You're maybe a little bit afraid of your Alex dying. Firelance Portal, Fireball, and Vaporize. Vaporize not going to be the pick. It's between Firelance Portal and Fireball. Probably the Firelance Portal just because it's so much value. It makes it so that your opponent has to deal with yet another thing, and you get to deal almost the same amount of damage. The mana cost difference isn't really going to matter too much.
Yeah, I mean, you can decide to either remove the minion or go through for burn and, yeah, develop your board.
Yep. Seems like a pretty easy Firelance Portal from our vantage point. It does mean that he won't be able to Fireball down this Ally Armorsmith at the moment, but yeah, let's go for it in the end. Kazakis in hand. Let's see if he pulls the trigger on that one.
Do you round out the turn with Kazakis? No, it looks like he is going to use that Fire Blaster.
So this is annoying if you're Huang. You've already used 2 bashes. No real great way to take care of this. And looks like it's just going to be just getting the Dirty Rat out here. Gets the Alex draws up pretty nice. And Joker not too happy about that one. And this allows for Revenge plus Execute to come out here. Yeah, but basically Huang didn't want to just spam out Revenge right there. He's like, well, I might as well use it to Execute. Gonna go ahead and attack my Ally Armorsmith in as well. I'm gonna save the Dirty Rat for the future with the Bran. And that's basically the only reason why the Bran's in the deck, by the way, is for Dirty Rat.
It's just for Dirty Rat, yeah. And that Dirty Rat still has a lot of targets in the Joker's hand that could absolutely disrupt. 7-6 is going to hop out of the portal, but that is going to be a little bit of it's a thorn in the Joker's paw.
Yeah.
Honestly.
This is the issue with Huang not dealing with the 4-4 earlier with his Grom, because now he doesn't have a way to... Like, he could have just used Gorehel on this, right? Earlier on. Like, he used the Gorehel on a 4-4, and obviously you're not expecting double Firelance Portal out of your opponent, but at the same time, that was such a clean kill for the Grom, and, you know, his Gorehel just gets eaten up by the
Does
ooze.
he have to Dirty Rat Shield Slam here?
I think you'd rather just go for Harrison, but the thing is, Dirty Rat, looking at the hand of the Joker, Bran is... Everything's okay, but if you get the Bran, it's not that great because you're still giving your opponent a chance to Reno and Kazakis. If you pull the Reno, unless you're putting that much pressure on, it's not going to help either because your opponent can just use the Manic Soulcaster anyway.
Exactly.
Obviously, the Archmage is the best. They're all kind of okay, but you really just want to get Archmage here.
Harrison is going to come down.
So Huang, I think he's going to wait for Bran into Dirty Rat into Brawl. Is the unless he sees something on the board that he really, really needs to kill, and he's like, well, I'm fine with these other minions surviving because I can just shield slam this. But leaving the Th3Jok3r Mercenary on the field does allow for, or does make it harder for Joker to develop more onto the board, but not like he really wants to develop more on the board because that allows for Brawl here.
Joker does use a lot of those spells that we thought were going to be fueling that Archmage Antonitis.
Ooh, Justicar is very nice here.
Finally going to get that Justicar.
Yeah, and this mitigates the damage almost completely from the Th3Jok3r Mercenary. So I think you just throw the Justicar down here. You might have to commit to Shield Slam afterward, but this does, it kind of draws you a card in a sense, right? Because your opponent has to deal with this, and they have to use the spells from their hand. They can't commit more to the board. You're healing for 6. Even if they do deal with it, then that means less spells for the Antonitis. That means, you know, you're only getting 7 damage to the face, excuse me. And yeah.
Yeah, we are going to see this get dealt with just a Frostbolt.
So Huang, the fact that his Joker is continuing to draw means Huang just needs to hold on, and he wins through fatigue.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of been his game plan for a little while now. Dirty Rat going to come down with the second Brawl. He's going to pull that Kazakis. Not terrible. I mean, you'd obviously rather have the Archmage Antonitis in this scenario, but the Brawl most likely going to go the way of the Joker here, but we're going to see the Dirty
Rat is the all-time winner of Brawls. He just never, he's just the champion every single time. Ding, 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 Dirty Rat comes out on top.
I have never seen a Dirty Rat lose. It's absolutely insane.
It has the card text from that one adventure where it's just like, doesn't lose Brawl.
Yeah,
card text on Dirty Rat. It's insane.
So Dirty Rat going to manage to survive here. 2-6 on the board, going to allow Huang to build up more armor, but a Kabbalah still
Yeah.
like a really good year.
Cheap spells is what Joker wants right now to convert those into fireballs. I mean, if he just gets fireballs off of them in the first place, that's fine too.
Yeah, that's fine. A couple mirror images, maybe, whatever. You
Yeah.
can just grab. He wants a fistful of pennies here to pump into Archmage Antonitis.
Exactly. Or just burn itself, right? Like a Power Blast he'll take.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anything that's just going to convert his resources into damage. Because he has to close this game out. Like you said, he can't go to fatigue.
Right, well, Gorehal comes off the top here, and Huang doesn't commit the Gorehal yet again here. Just wants to save that for a rainy day or perhaps burst at the very end if the Joker gets low. And yeah, now that Th3Jok3r has been played, Huang continuing to climb that ladder so high in health at the moment. I can't even count that high. It was at 58.
Oh, I don't count that high either,
48.
bro. We're fine.
Yeah.
We're done counting for the day. Kabbalah's Tome, and it does
Ooh,
get some
pretty
cheap spells.
cheap. The Forbidden Flame, you can just play out for 0. Even if it does 0 damage, you get the Fireball.
Do you like
That's
throwing?
4 fireballs. That's 4 fireballs. You can just go Antonitis, Coin, Arcane Blast, Arcane Explosion, and the Forbidden Flame. That's 4 fireballs in hand.
But we do see that Huang has that brawl, so we know Dirty Rat can't lose that, so that may be a way to deal with Archmage Antonitis after it
And
does go down.
There's a Shield Slam on the left side as well to help him out, and obviously just a Gorehowl.
But Brawl's guaranteed victory for the Dirty Rat.
Guaranteed victory. Why
Absolute
waste Shield
facts.
Slam?
Well, yeah, use the
You have
slam
your-
on someone else.
You have your Brawl champion on the field. Better make use of
Yeah,
it.
the Dirty Rat could die, and then you don't have the guarantee.
All right. Well, the Joker here. Let's see what he decides to go for. He's been saving his brand. He could have gone for a brand Drake to continue his plan of just continuing to draw. And you do see that he's just going to continue to draw throughout his deck.
Why wait? I mean, why wait? Are you assuming that the Shield Slam's been in the hand for a really long time? Do you think he is afraid of the Shield Slam, waiting to bait that out?
Do you have the artifact?
Yeah, that's probably what he's thinking, right? But what is there left in his deck that he can bait it out with? We've already seen Alexstrasza. We've already seen a lot of the large minions in the Joker's deck. I don't see how he baits it out in the first place.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of just want to go off at this point. At least Starseeker was the play for Huang last turn. That does give him an alternate win condition, but he's looking really good on the fatigue front.
Yeah, Huang, I mean, the map helps him with fatigue. He doesn't really want to draw the map right now or the monkey. He just wants to continue along his way, but having the 3-5 on the board gives him some sort of board presence to fight back here so that he's not continuously having to just use burn spell or use removal spells in hand. That's really what this at least comes down to. But I gotta say, things are looking great for Huang. The maximum amount of fireballs that can be produced here from the Joker is 4. That we can see. Actually, he's already used the Arcane Blast, so this makes it much more difficult. And he's going to commit the Forbidden Flame as well. You know, we were
What are you holding out for?
Yeah, we were holding back on kind of, you know, talking about the Joker's play, whether he knew this matchup or not. And I think we can finally, you know, with conviction say that he doesn't really understand this matchup.
Yeah, I like the Joker a lot as a player. A really great time meeting him in Dubai. But I felt pretty sure going into this match that he was not aware of the best way to play it.
Yeah, and we're seeing that right here. So Huang just going to go ahead and tank up some more, get up very high to 57 health here. And yeah, 24 damage, even with the spell damage, right? Even if it's 28 damage from the fireballs, not going to be able to chip through this. And he's way higher in that fatigue game. Even if he plays Manic Soulcaster, it's not going to help him out.
Yeah,
so
this is the point of the match where if you're the Joker, you start panicking.
Yeah, how do I win this?
When you actually look at the landscape of this tournament, this is such an important series because both of these players are they are very much fighting for a spot out.
Yeah.
There are a few really big players that are, I would consider, favorites to move out of this group. And that first victory really just sets the entire tone for the day. And now Emperor Thracian going to get burned.
Wow, I didn't even realize. I was wondering, like, why did Huang decide to play that now but not before? It's because he knew that Joker wasn't considering the mill situation. And that was what Joker was waiting for. We were wondering, like, why doesn't he pull the trigger? That's why he didn't pull the trigger. He's waiting for the Thorson, but didn't even consider that he was going to overdraw if he left the Thanos on the field. Huang takes advantage,
Heads
and now
up play by Huang.
now the Joker doesn't have a win condition. He cannot win this game anymore.
You have to feel really good for Huang getting this reverse sweep, right? I mean, like, the whole thing is he had bad beat after bad beat. I think it was like about 2 years ago that crazy we had a lot of control games going on here, guys. But about 2 years ago, the Joker did a little crazy play with our friend Ragnaros, and you had to feel bad. That was a bad beat for Huang, but he manages to just hold his composure, start to pick up those wins, and now in this position he plays this matchup perfectly. The Joker just doesn't play as well. He doesn't know the way to win this matchup, and it looks like Huang is going to come out on top here.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a while.
Yeah, Joker throws the Forgotten Torch out to the face of Huang. That does put another Roaring Torch into the deck, but Huang is not even going to expend the shield block. He's saying, I don't know, I'm not even going to get close to you in the fatigue battle. I'm going to be 5 cards off. And you can see the difference here. All right, this actually could make a slight difference, this Cabal Courier, if he gets something nuts off of this. None of these really help at all. Going to go for the Flame Strike, even though he already has one in hand. Mind Blast is probably the pickup here. Will help the Antonitis, and will give him a Fireball.
Yeah, I think Mind Blast is definitely the
yeah.
pickup here.
Yeah, unless the one...
I mean, you have to do your math right now.
Missiles,
yeah,
right?
you have to do your math right now and be like, okay, can I weave arcane missiles in a weird way? But you're losing at least 2 damage there for the 1 mana.
Yeah. He can go Archmage's Antonitis with the Coin, Mind Blast, and the Arcane Explosion. So the 1 mana of the Arcane Missiles doesn't really matter. He's already used Arcane Blast. I don't think he has anything else in his deck that's 1 cost. So yeah, just go for the Mind Blast here.
He is going to go for that there, and now it's just a matter of time until he just has to be like, okay, I need to go off. But you have to look at what happened. Like, if you played earlier, there was a time to go off when Huang only had 3 or 4 cards in his hand. He's already actually pulled the other Shield Slam out of his deck. He just gave him more times to actually draw an answer.
I like to see the Slam come out here from Huang, but I guess he realizes that you might need the Slam for just the 2 damage to kill something, not even as an execute activator. All right, Babbling Book comes out here. Going to be Forbidden Flame. That's another Fireball for the Joker. I still don't think it's going to be enough, though.
Yeah, I mean, keeps dirtling and getting more spells to use with Antonitis, and then he just uses them without Antonitis. I'll be completely honest. I feel like if you're the Joker, this is one of your first big tournaments. The pressure is really on, and you get scared to play that win condition because you could be pulling the cord at the wrong time and shooting yourself in the foot. But it looks like being scared is actually going to be his downfall here.
Yeah, I don't mind as much because the Thorson was going to help quite a bit in the amount of fireballs that he was going to get, especially with the Volcanic Potion going down to 2. And, you know, basically 6, 1, 2 if you're looking at the costs in his hand there. But, yeah, just... If you're going to be waiting for the Thorson the entire time, you cannot make a blunder like leaving the Thanos on the field when you are at 9 cards.
Yeah, you can't
Plays the Arcane Explosion. You play the Flame Strike here.
Yeah,
you have to play the Flame Strike.
You definitely play the Flame Strike. The only alternate line would be to tempo Reno, and you don't want to do that because you do still have the option with the Manic Soulcaster as well. Yeah, the Flame Strike's just a dead card.
Yeah, we're being really critical here, but we have to just tell it how it is, guys. That's almost a straight-up misplay from him, not playing, or playing, excuse me, the Arcane Explosion, not the Flame Strike. That's basically giving himself 1 less Fireball in hand. What would you rather have?
Well,
Flame
he doesn't
Strike?
even have a Manic Soulcaster in his deck, actually.
Oh, yeah, wow.
That's something that I just noticed, thought that was a potential thing. So I do want to say that actually makes a lot of his playstyle right, depending on the Archmage Antonitis, because you can't play you can't go toe-to-toe in the Fatigue game with the Warrior without that Manic Soulcaster. But we didn't really see the Joker play Archmage for that victory the right way.
Exactly.
Now, with 8 mana remaining, about to hit the Fatigue game, what are we going to see out of the Joker?
I think you just hope that both Shield Slams are on the bottom of Huang's deck, and then you just go for it. He's going to continue to ping. I don't know how the ping helps him. He's doing 0 damage a turn.
Yeah, he's doing -3 damage turn, right? So.
Well, I mean, he has the
sorry.
2.
Yeah, he actually he's doing.
Yeah,
he did have the minions, so he was doing exactly 0 damage, and now he is going to be taking that fatigue damage, ticking up slowly. You may as well pull the cord now, buddy.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. Archmage into
Too late.
coin. Mind Blast, and he has to Forbidden Torch his own minion. I guess he could ping first so that the Babbling Book doesn't die.
Yeah, I mean, you really want the Forbidden Torch to be at 0. That was one of the things that has lined up twice for him in this matchup, is just like have it at 0. But now it does not look like that is going to be the case.
Yeah, well, gonna get the same amount of fireballs in the end here. Doesn't use the Mind Blast, but doesn't really matter. I suppose he loses one ping, so he could have actually pinged instead. And looks like Joker's not even going to go through with this match anymore. Going to give it up, realizing that there's no way that Huang doesn't have the removal for the Antonitis, and no way for him to win the game from that spot. So the comeback is complete. Huang has managed to take a 3-2 victory, and well played by him.
It feels good. I will say, I think Huang he played better. I will give it to him in this matchup. I don't want to come down too hard on the Joker, but Huang, time and time again, he kept his resolve, and he really